Someone asked me if I can record this, so I don't know. Or we just don't bother, just keep going. All right, so we're Go Kayak. We created the company in 2010, so we're gonna be 10 years, December 12, which is good. Yep. We're happy with that. And basically, we teach kayaking skills from beginner to advanced. Basically, we have people that don't even know what a kayak is, up to people like Alan, who took our first surf course, and we kind of brought him to conditions that were very exciting for the first one. So we learned out of that. Thank you to be our you're guinea pigs for that course. Yes. So yeah, so we offer basic to up to level 1, 2 skills, but other than Paddle Canada program, we do currents, navigation, seamanship, basically name anything involving kayaking, and we're going to teach it.
Basically, we look at what is it that you want to do and what do you want to learn, and we work to what you want, not to, you don't fit into our box, we fit into what you want. And we've always worked on small numbers, so that's usually not an issue. And with COVID, smaller numbers are even better.
Yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, no numbers. But
so other than for the surf course, we don't require a minimum of 3 or 4. We'll do one-on-one. We'll do at your own time, your own schedule. I'm on the level 2 skills right now that we start in October, and we're going to finish it whenever we can. It's a one-on-one. It's not 1-on-4. We don't need to. We're not going to cancel course because we don't have the number, other than the surf because we have to go to Tofino. But other than that, if it's in Victoria, we will do it. So which is good.
And basically, how Go Kayak first started is we were on a trip in New Zealand. And we had been volunteering instructing with VCKC and the Pacific Kayak Club, which is the Navy-based club. And Yves kind of came up with, let's try to make a domain. And we came back home, and that's what we started.
I should be back on. I think I was muted for a minute here.
Oh, he muted me.
We kind of missed muted, everything Alan, so that you said. Yeah, can you say that again? We missed it all.
Oh. We're practicing your lips reading. It was an exercise for communication when you can't hear. It's one of the kayaking skills we do.
No, basically, I was saying with how Go Kayak came to be is we were actually on a cycling trip in New Zealand, and we had taken a year off to play. And prior to that, we had been volunteering and instructing for VCKC and the Pacific Fleet Kayak Club. And Yves kind of went, I'd really like to try to make a go of this as a business. So here we were in New Zealand, and he secured the domain name for Go Kayak. So we kind of said that's where the idea came on our cycling trip to do this.
All right, so let's start with the presentation, I guess. So I'm going to share the screen, see what's going to happen here, because it's always there you go. Now, can you hear me? All right, can you see the pictures? Let's see here. Are we on?
Yep.
All right, so this trip was in 2015. We have decided to do a longer trip to link places that we've paddled before. It's not like we were doing that trip without knowing where we were going. We knew exactly what the campsite were, distances. We've paddled each leg of it through different summers, and that time we've decided to link it all together.
Yeah, we had an opportunity for 5 weeks off. Someone says, how come you chose the amount of time? It was the amount of time I had off my day job. So we said 5 weeks, let's paddle for 5 weeks.
All right, so Sport Tofino, the best of the Wild West Coast. But just before we started, we'd like to thank VI Paddles, Randy Miller, because he's the one that's been supporting us from the beginning. He actually provides paddles for Patty's. She's our his poster girl for VI Paddles. So he was with us since the beginning. So thank you, VI Paddles. And Mears Vista Inn, if you've been with us in Tofino for a surf course, you probably stayed at the Mears, and Mandy is very accommodating. She never charged us for any cancellation last minute. She never takes a credit card number prior to being up there. So it's been very, very nice with the Mears Vista Inn. So thank you, Mandy. And of course, you all know John Abercrombie, and you're asking me what the hell is he doing in that slideshow. John, after 8 years of buying our boat brand new, he's the one who made them dry.
Yeah, so finally, this trip, we had dry boats for the first time. So thank you, big time, John.
Yeah, John is the one who made it happen. So thank you, John, for that. So basically, Port Hardy to Tofino, it was 34 days, 290 nautical miles of 540 kilometers. So we did 34 days because we had 34 days. Basically, we had
5 weeks.
We had 5 weeks off. So we could have done it in 10, 20. We decided to go as long as we could. So our average mileage per day was about 11 nautical miles.
Yeah, 11.
So when you do a trip like that, we did Port Hardy to Winter Harbor in 10 days. So why did we do such a short period of time, short distance in almost one third of the trip? Because we were looking at doing 2 food drop-off, one at Winter Harbor and one at Kayak. After talking to some people there, Kayak was not an option because it was not secured, it wasn't reliable, the sources we have. So we packed our boat in the backyard and said, can we do Winter Harbor to Tofino with our boat fully loaded? It happens to be that, yes, we could do it. We were able to pack our boats for 28 days, or Patty and I.
Hey, Yves, can you expand your screen so it covers the whole screen?
Yeah, like this?
Even bigger, Ross.
That's all I got.
Okay, that's good then.
So because we only could carry 28 days of food, we had to eat 10 days of food.
To make room for the rest of the food.
To make room for the boat to be able to put the food we had at Winter Harbor. So we really took our time. We had to make it to 10 days. We needed empty boats to go to Winter Harbor to replan for food. So we had to make it in 10 days. And then the rest of the trip was 24 days from Winter Harbor to Tofino. So when you do a trip like this, you have to take care of Cape Scott. It could be a hazard. Brooks Peninsula is another hazard. Nootka Sound and Nootka Island could be another hazard. And Estevan Point, another headland to go across. Basically, the whole West Coast could be a challenge, but these are the place where we really had to time it with the weather, winds, sea states, conditions.
We knew we needed good weather days for these areas. And if we didn't, those would be why we would use some of our many down days that we had.
So we've decided, instead of shipping the food to Winter Harbor, we've decided to drive to Winter Harbor, drop the food, then drive the van back to Port Hardy, where Patty's brother would come and pick it up anyway, and then we left from there.
So
hey, who's the short-haired person there you're going with?
Well, yeah, you know, things change with COVID season. But yeah, so what we did is each of the bags is per day. So I've played around with food since then, but generally I had 1 bag of food per day. So
breakfast, dinner, and lunch.
Yeah, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks. And then they would be wherever they could fit in the kayak, and I could pull out 1 at a time, and I didn't have to worry about emptying. We didn't have to empty a whole bunch of other things to get certain things. So 1 of those bags, that's what we got. So I had a little bit of a variety at one point, and then later it was like mystery meals. What's coming out today? Yep, that's what we're eating.
And you can see the stack of chart here that we had to bring for the trip. So we left some in Winter Harbor, and we just swapped the chart. We did have Camantis. I got a GPS E-Trex 20 handheld I had with me, but we like carry charts, so we had charts with us. So Port Hardy to Winter Harbor, Cape Scott, 10 days, 89 nautical mile. It tells you how slow or how short of a day we did. We went through every little cracks and crannies. We hugged the shoreline as much as we could. We didn't want to miss anything.
Other than the first 2 days. Our first day was the longest. We set off, and on a prior trip, we had camped, we had gone by Cape Sudal, and I really wanted to camp there. So I said, I don't care how long it takes, let's get to Cape Sudal for our first night. And as it turned out, we had a nice day paddling, but when we got to there, this is the day after. We didn't get a picture of when we arrived because it was pouring down rain. It was ugly. It was high tide. It was, for our first day, it was cold, wet, and
it was ugly.
Yeah, wasn't fun. But
so 26 miles the first day to go to a place that where we've been before was beautiful, sunny beach, blue sky. It was a dream place to be, and that day was just like, no way. I didn't take any pictures. So going toward Cape Scott, you start seeing whales for whatever reason. There seems to be there all the time for us.
On John Commandus's chart, it says whales. And we left the beach and we saw whales for the next 2-3 hours.
Yeah. So Experiment and Bite is the last beach before rounding Cape Scott. So we want to be as close as Cape Scott as possible for the next day when the weather allows it to go around. So that's the last. So here you have, what's the Cape Scott big beach? I got a blank. But anyway, that's the last one, just at the gap. If you have been there before, there's the gap, go from one side to the other. That's that beach right there. So the next day, we're rounding Cape Scott. So we did about a 3.5 mile big kayaking trip to go just around and crash at Geese Bay.
So our first day was our longest day. Our second day was our shortest day.
So the nice thing with sandy beach, regardless what you have, you can always use the sand and build a fortress. And Patti needed 2 posts for a hammock, so I decided to put more posts and carve it up and have our tent under just in case it would rain or for any reason, right? So that's Geese Bay, a very nice beach. We play bocce balls because we did find some boys, and whatever we can find on the beach, we get entertained. We play. And then we took the time to walk up the trail, go to Cape Scott Lighthouse. Why not? There's tons of trail there you can use to go around. Who's that guy with no hair? Look at that, hey? So we can go around Cape Scott. We walk to Cape Scott up to the lighthouse. So there's a lot of things you can do there if you don't want to paddle.
If you want to just, walk parts of the trails.
So that's the gap. So experimental bite is here. You go around Cape Scott and you go to Geese Bay right here on the other side. So this is a nice place to walk, to explore. It's very, very beautiful. So here we're leaving Geese Bay going to Lowry Bay. Once again, Lowry Bay, a beautiful beach.
I think this is about a 6 mile day at the most.
Yeah.
And all the times that we've been around before, we'd always bypassed Lowry. And I said, I'd like to stay here tonight. So whenever I got the opportunity to stay where I asked, we did. And this was one of my favorite little spots between Cape Scott and San Joseph.
So if you go to Lowry Bay, there is a little cabin you can use. There's 2 bunk beds in that cabin. And if you've been to St. Joseph Bay before, to the campsite, you may have met Doug. Doug is the guy who, like 35 years ago, built that cabin and brought it by helicopter. So there's a little cabin at Geese Bay. From Geese Bay, you can took the trail and walk around to Sea Otter Cove.
We've never paddled it. Someone's asked before, and it's just, I don't think it would be that great of a paddle, but it's a really nice hike in, and that's what we did. Because we had such a short paddle day, we went for a hike after we set up. Then we came back.
Notice that epic kayak here. Wasn't there at 6 p.m. Wasn't there when we left for the walk. We come back and here's that guy. There's an epic kayak here. So we start chatting with him and we ask him, can we help you setting up your tent? He says, no, you guys don't touch any of my gear. I don't want you to help me. It was very nice, but there was no way we couldn't touch anything of his boat. And Patti will tell you why.
Well, we found out as I said, where are you coming from today? And he goes, Port Hardy. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay. I know we've had a couple of short days, but we've also had a long day. Went, what are you trying to do? Go around Vancouver Island? And he said, actually, I am.
He was trying to beat Russell.
Wasn't as much a record.
Yeah,
maybe
he was
trying to beat the record.
The record.
And
he didn't make it. He bailed in just before North Brooks. It was too rough for him. It was a guy from the States, paddling in lakes, never been on the ocean. And
he was fast, but not good with anything but flat water. So.
He was fast, but not beautiful.
No.
All right, so of course, when you paddle that, you never know who's going to pop up in and out, and we saw a lot of sea lions there. This is when we approach St. Joseph Bay. Very nice place to go rock gardening, channels. It's a beautiful place, arches and caves you can explore entering St. Joseph Bay. And we had some very good calm condition the whole trip. We have to say though, during those 34 days, we were able to land wherever we wanted, except for one place, and it's Raft Cove. The surf was way too big to land there, but other than that, Brooks Peninsula, around Solander, name it, we were able to land anywhere. So St. Joseph Bay, you can drive there, you can paddle there. If you have a chance to drive there, you can paddle on the inside, explore the bay. And if you want to have a feel of the West Coast, you can venture a little bit out. Very beautiful place, easy accessible by car, by kayak.
It's a great place where you can get the feel for the West Coast without taking the risk of having to do a big trip. It's a lot of people, but you get used to them. Now this is about day 5, so
it's not about Patti.
This was laundry day, so this is how we do our laundry. It was day 5 and time to do laundry.
So yeah, so notice the bag, not the muscles here. So laundry day, of course, St. Joseph Bay. We stayed at St. Joseph Bay for 3 nights, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that, because it was very windy, so we had to not go out. So you can hike the trails there, a lot of trails to hike.
So one day out, we did a laundry day, and then we wandered up and we explored. We always like to see if there's other options of, if you were to drive or your exits. So we either walk trails or in some cases we'll paddle alternative routes to see how you can get it. Now this was the summer.
If you remember this summer where Tofino was running out of water, 2015.
Yeah, and this was the Port Hardy had the fires as well.
Yeah.
And that was our biggest concern, was water. And we were able to get water a little bit at Cape Scott, so that was fine. And this is where we normally had picked up water before. And the next shot, this was a 500 mil, and it took almost a minute to fill the bottle. So you can imagine how long it took to fill up our 10-liter bags. But there was some water, so that was the main good thing.
So that's still St. Joseph. So St. Joseph Bay, if it's rough outside and on a high tide, you can actually paddle up the river, which is nice. You can paddle up all the way to the dock. What I talked about, the guy around the campsite there, you can actually drive your car, put in at the river, and then paddle out to St. Joseph Bay.
This picture shows where you actually can launch, and you can back your car right up to there and then go down the river. And I do note, go down the river at a higher tide. We've had experiences where we've seen, you need water to get down that river.
So this is, if you know Patti, warning is something that she take very seriously. So steep waves, strong rip currents over. So what does she do? Well, she's go with playing it.
Yeah, so this was our other down day. It was still too windy. So we played in the surf. We emptied most of our gear, and it was just some nice little waves to play in.
So leaving St. Joseph Bay, you go down and you Cape Palmerston, another place. Cape Palmerston could be iffy to land if the sea state is 2-3 meter plus. So, but like I said, we had really good sea state. So we stopped, we explored the place, checked the campsite. We didn't stay there.
No, but you can drive here as well.
And you can drive there.
So there's some designated spots there.
This is Cape Palmerston here.
Yves and Patti, I don't want to slow you down, but getting a couple of questions here. So Karen asked what time of year it was. I think you said summer. But
mid-July to mid-August.
Mid-July, mid-August. And then
Yeah.
BJ wants to know about your boats. What are your boats like here?
So we paddle Wilderness System. It's the Tempest. I have the Tempest 180 Pro. So it's a fiberglass with a skeg. Patty has the Tempest Wilderness 170.
So 17 foot and 18 foot. And with Yves, it's a little wide. It's a little wide enough to take that extra food that I couldn't. So we work well with all the gear we have to carry when traveling together.
So this is right at Raft Cove. Raft Cove is in the corner here. We've landed there twice before on different trips, once or twice.
At Raft Cove.
At Raft Cove. We've landed in surf, big surf, but we were able to land. And this time we could hear it like roaring, and with a fully loaded boat, I said, we're not landing to Raft Cove. There was no way I could land there.
We were sitting there and we were kind of cautiously approaching, going towards, and Yves said, I really don't feel comfortable landing. And I went, well, you know, we don't have to. And it was like, oh, he was surprised. He was like, yeah, you're right. We don't have to. So we found this little place on the corner that it seemed like at the mid-tide level was about the only time we could have landed. The seas were really picking up, and we landed here just for a pit stop and to, you know, let's see what the weather's going to be like. But it ended up being our home for the night, and it wasn't looking pretty to leave that spot and then the next day the conditions were better. Well, better.
The next day conditions were good.
Yeah, sea state was better, so we headed off down the coast.
So Grand Bay is the last beach before Winter Harbor where we would replenish. So we did a good paddle going from, where did we
San Joseph
Bay to Grand Bay. And the nice thing there, so you have more people that drives there, camper with, you know, people with the truck and the camper and everything. So once again, we set up the tent with posts in the sand as always. I always put a tarp up regardless if it's sunny. Doesn't matter, always put a tarp up.
Yves always makes a great home for us.
Under the box.
This?
Yeah. So there's people that comes and talk to you and ask you what you're doing, where you're coming from. And then we're telling them what we're doing. And oh my God, your food must be crappy. You must have just like power bars and cardboard bars and stuff like that. You must be hungry. You must be missing something. Well, she brought us Smokies.
Sausages.
Bratwurst, actually sausages.
He was saying, no, the food's pretty good. He goes, well, I do have some extra sausages. We've got more food than we need. And Yves went, yeah. Sausages? And there we go. He was so happy.
And the next day, back to the ocean, back to the sea, and destination Winter Harbor.
So with our boats being so heavy and just being the two of us, this was one of the benefits of this trip is most, not all, but most of the places we could drag our boats. We had sand, so we never, I don't think we ever emptied them and picked them up and had to carry them. Like, yes, we carried them a bit, but afterwards when it wasn't as bad, but many times it was, we landed and we dragged just to get off out of the water. And the beaches there that was a blessing because the first few days our boats were so heavy.
So our boats, without the gear, they are heavy. They are built for the West Coast. They've been reinforced. They have a full 4 inches steel from bow to stern. In front of my kayak here, I have 3 layers of Kevlar. I call that my skid plate. So I hit rocks or anything. This is reinforced from the tip up to here. And on top of that, I have a full kill strip all the way to the back. Our boats are very solid. So not that we want to abuse them or do it on purpose, but if we hit rocks or if the drag, the boat can actually take the load, which is great. So that's our way towards a Quatsino, leaving Grand Bay. So you see here the Quatsino Lighthouse. The sea state was actually very good. We had some good 3-footers, swell and wind wave coming up, but you know, it was fun.
Good active paddling.
This is Dale and Tina. Dale and Tina they're not there anymore, were the lighthouse keeper that we met a few years prior to that. And every time we paddle the coast, we make an effort to contact the lighthouse keeper and ask permission to stop and go for a visit, which in any case, we haven't been said no. No one ever said no. So we met them before, and we did bring pepperoni sticks to them the first time we meet them. They were so happy, right? Oh my God, pepperoni stick. And they had a little dog named Reef. And Dale, the guy here, Dave, thought that we brought the pepperoni for the dogs. And he looked at us, he says, what about me? So next time we've been there, we brought them actually dehydrated beef jerky. And to thank us.
Oh, well, it just so happened our timing was he had prime rib soup. And he said, would you like a bowl? And oh my gosh,
it was so good. So now we're entering Winter Harbor where we, after 10 days, where we have to unload our boat, replenish it with food. If you've been to Winter Harbor, it's a fisherman place. So basically at 8 p.m., it's dead calm. Everyone's going to sleep. We're coming in, we're tired, we're unloading our boats, and we feel like we're, you know, it's 8 p.m., it's daylight, and we have to be very quiet. But at 3 a.m., these guys are up and running. The 4x4 goes on, the engine goes up, they're rattling the whole place, like, what? So yeah, if you ever sleep there with fishermen, you got to be down by 8, and you got to be up by 3.
Another question here or two about your boats, if you want to just leave it on that slide.
Yep.
Lisa wants to know, how much do they weigh empty?
Okay, my boat, my 180 empty weight about 67 pounds, 65 pounds. Patty's boat is a bit lighter, about 62, 60, 61. Yeah.
I have a few repairs on it that make it heavy.
Okay, so that's the other question that Jonah had. Did you custom order these or did you retrofit them?
No, we custom retrofit them.
No, we bought them through Comox Valley Kayak, and they don't make them anymore, which is a shame. These are boats we love to hate. We love the design and recommend them in that sense, but the quality, the workmanship was not good. And that's why it took us a little while to get them figured out where the leaking was. And I would have never in my life thought I'd buy a new boat and put up with a leaking boat. But when we paddle these, they really feel good. And
there's a feeling of safety with these boats because we fit the boat fits us. We can be in a very rough condition and we're not afraid of going over. These are the boats for us, basically.
Yeah, so we put up with that for a while. And like I said, once John A. gave us dry boats, and he was not the first one trying to fix it, but with his creativity, he came up with it and we got the dry boats. Any other questions on the boats?
Yeah, not on the boats, but on Winter Harbor. Jean is saying when she was there this year, they weren't very welcoming, said kayakers used the campsite further down, and she got the impression you couldn't camp there at Winter Harbor. Has that changed, or have you been back since? Do you know?
We were there last year, and there's two people that run that camp spot there, Mike and Patti, and they've always been welcoming with us. And we've also heard that they've been very welcoming with other kayakers, and they've been involved with helping people when they were helping staging their logistics for going around Vancouver Island. So they've been nothing but helpful. So this year, I don't know what changed, and we do camp down at the other spot too. But in this case, we didn't have our vehicle, and all our food was just 2 minutes away from where this was, because it was through Patti and Mike that they stored our food for us for free. Oh. So I guess there's been a change in
there might be, people. I don't know if it's, I'm not saying it's kayakers, but the First Nation campsite about 1 kilometer before Port Hardy, you're not supposed to leave your car overnight, right? You go there, you camp the night. What we did when we've been there before, we camped there for free, and then we bring the car to the outpost, and we pay $5 or $10 a day, and then we go on our trips, come back, pay the woman, and then take off home. But we never left our van at the First Nation campsite without being there, I use it as a free parking. So maybe that's what ticked off a bit of people. I don't know. But other than that, we've never had any problem there.
Okay, I have another question,
Yeah.
which is, did you ask permission from First Nations that you were passing through their territories or camping?
Nope.
No.
Not at all. We never.
No.
We never camped on First Nation land anyway. And the campsite at Winter Harbor, there's a sign that says "Welcome to camp." It's all good. So it's not. No. No. The answer is no.
No, we've only come across one at a time.
So Winter Harbor to Paradise Beach. I think, Alan, you know where that is because you got a great ride out of there, right?
We did.
All right.
Helicopter ride.
I know.
Reference for people who don't know. Yeah, Ellen and a group of folks had to get a helicopter ride back to their vehicles. To me, that would have been one heck of a trip.
So beautiful day leaving Winter Harbor. Look at the sea states, and we had beautiful weather going out. So this is going towards out of the bay. The lighthouse is on the right, and you're just going out. Beautiful day. This is a shot that Patti took. She can talk about it.
Well, it was funny because Yves passed by, and the Audis went down, and then I guess I was far enough behind, and they popped up, and I mean, wow! One's looking at me, one's looking at Yves, and we're known when Yves and I are on trips together. If I have the camera, I never get a picture of anything. So it was like this was one of my first shots that I actually got, rather than just water and what have you. But it was pretty cool. And so this was on our way to the Gillam Islands, which is just a little rocky islet area. And you can get some really active water. You can get some, paddling through the air, just around the rocks. And you can get there are a lot of otters there.
Oh yeah, tons.
We kind of go there and we wander, and we always allow on the trip, whenever we go through there, to go in and around out and catch a little bit of whatever waves there might be, or just exploring and looking at the wildlife there. There's always a lot of seabirds, and it's one of my favorite little corners. If
you paddle to Quatsino, you're gonna hear that sound, and I'm doing that just for Anne Graves. You're gonna hear that sound. Ooh. Ooh. That's the whistle boy right there at the bay. And I know that's gonna haunt you for the night, so just wanna bring that up just for you. So the whistle boy, there's something to see. It's just funny to see the diaphragm, how it works, the sound that comes out of it. Something to paddle by if you can. And then we're going now towards Kwakiutl, but just before Kwakiutl, there's the Rowley Reefs, another place that, at the high tide, you can cut in and go back to the shoreline. At the low tide, you really have to go around the reef. So then we're going to Kwakiutl Point. That's just before Lawn Point, if you've been there before. And now, like, you look at this day and it's beautiful, pretty calm, really calm. And the weather forecast was calling for pretty big winds the next day. So we picked this spot based on the protection of the wind that was coming. And we did I think this was one of our down days as well. We spent another night here. So this was our first night. This is our second night. We explored, we just chilled around, and then went off. Go ahead, next one, I guess. Went off to, this is Lawn
now
Point.
We're going Lawn Point. And we knew we needed good weather conditions around Lawn Point as well. So that's why we took the down day the day before to have better conditions to get around Lawn Point. And then this is following the shoreline. This stretch of shore between Heater Point and the lagoon, the Brooks Lagoon, is another some of my favorite paddling, because the shoreline is just so rugged, and you can get some great swell. You have, depending on the sea state, will determine how close or how far away you need to be away. This is where we found this little beach area where you could land, and it's just past Heater Point, and this is where we spent the night. So just not far past Heater Point, but there's just beautiful black rock area, and Yves had to make our home because there wasn't much of a flat beach.
So I had to use piece of wood and stake to create a a platform to level the ground because it was a steep gravel beach, as you can see, a steep gravel beach. So I had to lift it up and level it up and do a little bit of landscape. So we're able to put the tent and have a good night's sleep.
If you haven't noticed yet, Yves is just the biggest kid when it comes to sand. He likes digging holes and playing in the sand. He likes playing gravel, you know, with little dinky toys, pickup trucks, and flattening out and leveling and building things.
Well, the next trip, I'm going to bring my Tonka truck with me.
So there you go. So now we're heading out towards, still down the shoreline. So this is the shoreline that I'm talking about. And we did a landing here because you can get water.
There's a waterfall there that you can stop if the weather allows, and we were able to do so. And usually that creek, every year we've been there like 3 or 4 times. This is running all the time. That year it was so dry. It was okay.
So what you see is that's the dry water bed. There was enough water. This is just a trickle relative to how it usually is, but a good water source as it is. It can be iffy, as Yves said, with landing. You can't always land here.
So here you see Brooks with Solander Island right here. That's Brooks Peninsula right there. So that's where we're heading. So we went from Crabapple Islets. You go through Donald Islets, which is very nice.
Towards
Donald Islets. A little bit of good sea state sometimes. The sea can look mean. You have to take it with a lot of respect. But you know, there's such a good place to rock gardening and go around with fully loaded boat.
Yeah, and looking at some of these pictures, we are always paddle very cautious on trips. But I do love any type of movement of water. So my challenge is being cautious, but as close to the action as I can get.
We play hard, but we paddle safe.
Yes, okay. That's what we tell each other.
Okay, Coot Lagoon, if you ever plan to go there, you may have to deal with surf landing. But once you're inside, it is a beautiful place to be. That's basically, we landed on this side here, and then you go around. The boats are on the inside, and you can walk the beach in and out, which is very nice. And then we went to Crabapple Islets, which is the last campsite before going through Brooks Peninsula. So once again, the view of to Brooks. And people ask me, you know, what do you do to light a fire? Do you bring a lighter? Do you use paper, wood? I don't do any of that. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter, and I learned how to light a fire with my wand, so which makes it way easier. I just like use my magic wand and start my fire, so it saves a lot of time. So that's how that's how I start my fire. So Crabapple Islet, we had like probably every time we've been there, we had a storm.
We usually have
a storm coming in.
We usually have a day where we're having to sit out, or it's worth it, but you have to allow enough down weather days. And then look, this was the early morning view. We got up early that day because we were going to be going around Brooks, and for us, it's just gorgeous. Just love it.
So now we're going toward Cape Cook.
And look at the conditions.
Conditions are fantastic. And we saw Solander Island. So we say, hey, why not going around? Because we've been around, we got lucky. We got 5 out of 6 attempts that we're able to go around. So our average is very good to go around Solander. So that when you're at the Cape Cook and you look at Solander across, this is what you see. So of course we had to take the pictures. Yeah, we've been there, done that, get the t-shirt. And why not going around? This is on the back side of Solander.
It's impressive to be able to just paddle around and just take it all in.
Now, the Brooks Peninsula is about 6 nautical miles long. In the middle of it, there is a campsite called Nordstrom Creek. So once again, we're able to stop for lunch. Yeah. We didn't camp there at that time, but we did stop for lunch. And because there is a river, it was a good place to refill our dromedary and get more water. So if you go there, you can explore some caves. I don't know if you know about that, Alan, if you had the time to go there, but there are caves there. And we had lunch there. And we decided to have some ribs for lunch, which was very, 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 very nice. So very good ribs we had for lunch. And this is the river, so you can fill your bottle. It's very nice, nice river. You can actually have a little shower or a little bath, and just to refresh.
We've camped here before in the past, but this trip we decided we're going to keep going and take advantage of the good weather. And the trip from Nordstrom to Clark Point, so that's the other, carrying on to the other end of Brooks, was the fastest, easiest paddle we had ever had.
We had 20 knot wind plus in our back.
We had the current.
We had the current or the tide, on our side, and we had the swell with us. It was just we were going at 7 knots without paddling hard, just do, and taking the wind and the current. So we turn around Clark Point, and then Patti will explain what happened there.
Well, we're coming down and we're heading, we know, again, we've been to all these places, so we had an idea of where it was. And as on that one first video picture we have, Yves was showing the hazards. Well, hazard 1 was Cape Scott. Hazard 2 was Brooks Peninsula, having to need the conditions. So we had a celebratory Werther's about 20 minutes before landing at Paradise. And it was the hardest 20 minutes of the trip.
The whole trip.
Of the entire trip. There was this really wicked side wind coming over the Brooks. And I felt like I wasn't going anywhere. And we celebrated it just a wee bit too early. And then when we hit the beach, we went, okay, we're done, we made it. So
yeah, our toughest part was that 1 nautical mile prior to Paradise Beach. We're not gonna make it. We were inching our way in, full on head down, paddling hard. Nothing was happening. So we took some time off there to not fix, but just do some maintenance, right? Check at the boat, make sure everything is okay. Like I said, I have my 4 inches keel strip here. You can see all the way down. This is a skate cage. And so, this is just gel coat. It's nothing broken. Just when we drag the boat, if you can wet sand something, dragging your boat in a wet sand will take the gel coat out, but it's not structural. It doesn't make the boat leak. It was just, I re-gel my boat every year because I do drag it and that happens, right?
So we had a down day here.
So Yves and Patti, Sean wants to know if you give a course on how to pick dates that have perfect weather.
Well, we've been told now because, when we started paddling, when we moved here, not everyone was doing what we do now. Thank God you guys took courses. Everyone's doing great trips. And people are asking us, when are you taking your holidays? Because we're going to take the same time as you guys, because we've always at 90% plus been very, very lucky with weather. So
I'm touching wood at this point. We have, it's been lucky, but this one guy, it was really funny. He said, when are you going on your next holiday trip? He said, I'm going to go when you go.
Yeah. So the next leg, Paradise Beach to Third Beach or Nootka Island, going through Kayak. So 53 nautical mile, 5 days. We had to leave Paradise Beach because Jurassic Park was coming in and we didn't want to get in trouble with the dinosaurs. So we decided to leave as quick as possible. And then this is what the beach looks like. If you've ever been there, it's tent city in the middle of the summer. Leo from Voyager Taxi drops people there with their chainsaw, with their shovel, with all their mechanical gear, and they build art structures. And so that's what Paradise Beach is. If you go there, don't expect to be on your own. South Brooks, anything south of the Brooks is now tent city.
Relative to north.
Yeah, relative to north, where we didn't see anyone. So then you go through Cuddle Islets, a very nice little place to explore, to go around in and out. This is where we stop for lunch or a snack and Cuddle Islets. And then we're going to Bunsby. You may have noticed the green head if you've been there before. So here's what Patti told me as we entered the Bunsbys.
When we were leaving Paradise on Brooks, I said, if Little Paradise is vacant, if there's nobody there, can we spend the night? See, I always have to make these negotiations of places I want to stay with. And Yves went, yeah. And he's thinking,
that place is always, it's the first camping spot that people take when they go to Bunsby. That's where they camp.
So we round the corner and there's nobody there. So we stayed, this is what we call little paradise. We went from big paradise to little paradise in the Bunsby for our next night.
So this is basically, this is the beach, and this is where you set up your tent. So the kayaks are down here.
Yeah, it's a pretty little islet. And then again, there's in the evening a lot of otters, and you can, if you're very quiet, and you can get out and you can see them, you can hear them, and it's just another one of my favorite magical spots.
So entering Kayak, it was, you know, there's hot, and there's scorching hot, and that day was like, it was scorching hot. No wind.
Fry an egg on our kayak is hot.
It was like so hot. So we saw an eagle here.
He was feasting. He was having lunch. We were going to go for lunch, and the eagle was having some lunch on his way.
So of course we had to stop at the restaurant because, you know, what do you do after what, 12 days, 14 days, 17 days? We went, oh, by the way, Patti, on all the trip we do, she tried to bring back a boy.
Yeah, I started to do, one time I came across one that was worthy of coming home. So now if it's late enough in our trip, and if I have enough room, I'll pick up a boy. And I keep Yves with us too. So go back to that one.
Whoops.
So this one we had just picked up, maybe 2-3 miles before, and we actually needed to use this. So as we pulled up towards the dock where we had there's the barnacles and such, I went, hey, I can use this boy, it'll come in handy. So there we are.
So we went for fish and chip and a burger at Kayak, which was really nice. Now, that's been said, this is a fish plate, right? So we asked the guy there, I said, we don't see any fish on your menu. Well, he said, no, we just erased it. So that's funny. Why? He says, because DFO are coming in.
DFO, yeah.
And because we don't get the fish from a distributor, it has to go through the food safe, whatever. He says, when the DFO comes in, the people tell us when the boat comes in, so we erase our menu, we don't show fish. And when they leave, then we pull out the fish because we have people going out, bring the fish, the halibut, the salmon right here at the dock. They slice it and serve it to people. So we had to wait till the DFO guys left before him to be able to serve us fish and chip, which was very funny. And then we're leaving a Kayak and we're going to Rugged Point Marine Park, which we stayed the night. And then from there, we paddled from Rugged Point towards New Chatlets.
Yeah, this was a fairly longer day too. We were looking for some places to stop, and actually this was one place where we couldn't just stop anywhere. But the shoreline was, you got to be selective on where you can stop in this case. So it was a longer day of a paddle. I think this is where nature took its course, and I think I even had to do something on the water on this one. It was we were going to land at this one place and there was a bear, and then this other spot we were going to land and the tide was too high. It's a lovely little islet spot that we know of, but the way the waves were crashing, it was like nope. So we just kept paddling and on to.
So the nice thing with New Chatlets, you can actually take the U-Chuck 3 here, load your boat, and it can drop you to those islands there, which is very nice. So it's very accessible. If you want to do a 4 or 5 day paddle there, you can actually put your boat on the U-Chuck 3 from, where does it leave? From Port Alberni, I think.
Gold River.
So, Gold River. Yeah, Gold River. So Catala Island, New Chatlets, once again, this one is, everyone goes there, but for whatever reason, when we arrived at Catala, there was nobody there. So we stayed there, very nice place to stay. Beautiful, once again, sea state was beautiful. Weather was very nice the whole trip along that coast. Just gorgeous sea conditions. What it was, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So then we had to round Ferrer Point. This is Nootka Island now. Ferrer Point, which is one of the rough places you have to be careful of to go to Third Beach, Calvin Creek. So you have to go around Ferrer Point. So that's Ferrer Point.
So this was the spot where we actually came out and it was looking pretty rough. And we're like, I'm okay to proceed. Are you okay? And we're going, yeah, but we weren't sure in terms of if the landing would be. We were kind of thinking we're fine, but maybe we should just wait. So we pulled off to a sandy little spot, had a nap, and then continued when the sea state came down a bit, carried on to Third Beach and just right down to here.
So Third Beach in Nootka Island is where hikers start or finish, but mostly start the hike along the Nootka Trail. So they go from Third Beach to Friendly Cove. So that place is always packed with hikers. And we've been there before, and it was tent city, a lot of people. So we landed there expecting that will be a lot of people. And there's zero. Yeah. No kidding.
There's not one.
No one. Tent. No soul there. No tent. No one to be seen. So
not one person. And we thought, well, maybe it's just earlier in the day.
Or earlier in the season. We don't know, but it's kind of unusual.
Not the season, but yeah, we thought earlier in the day. And we just kind of waited. Then we explored, enjoyed the beach, and we thought, well, let's just enjoy it. And then the evening comes.
The next morning, nobody.
There's nobody. Yeah, in the morning, nobody.
So it's fine.
Okay. You know. So we went, I wonder if there's something going on that we don't know about. So we carry on down.
So middle here, you have Calvin Creek, and then you go to Nootka here. So Third Beach to Hot Spring Cove, 65 nautical mile, 8 days. So we go to Calvin Creek, which is about in the middle of the trail that people hikes. Very nice waterfall, place where people refresh. We land there, you see the surf. So that if you go there, expect some surf landing. Not a soul, nobody. One to be seen, not even a tent, nothing. We had the whole place for ourselves. So whoa, something's going on here that we're not aware of.
Yeah,
right?
We went, there's something going on, but we didn't know what.
So we explored nothing on the marine radio, nothing with the Coast Guard, nothing we could be told of. So we relaxed. So
just prior to this shot, it's like, okay, time for a little cleanup and a swim. And I start dropping my gear and starting to sit down.
Adam and Eve costume.
Yeah, going down. And all of a sudden I hear this plane. And I look up and I'm going, oh, it's passing by. And then I'm going,
okay, it's gone, right?
No, it's not passing. It's landed. It's like, okay, get my clothes all back on. And then we go, and I go, there's a plane coming. And it lands on the beach. And this is where we did find out from someone that
there's a club at Tsawwassen. It's a plane club, whatever they're called. And they go from island to island, beach to beach with those special planes with the fat tires, and they land and spend the day, and then they take off and go to another beach. So that's what they do.
Yeah, so they had said that the beach was closed, but they didn't. Oh, I don't know.
He didn't know.
He didn't know either what was going on. He just said, oh, there's no one we've seen up down the shoreline. So anyways, they actually took a picture of us. So we got one without a selfie.
So then the Cabin Creek.
But look at the waterfall. If anybody has been there, there wasn't much water relative to how it usually is.
So you can climb up the waterfall, and then this is the waterfall from the view. So this is the fall right here where the water comes down. Very, very beautiful place. You can hike there. Strongly recommended.
I think Lynn says this is one of her favorite hikes. We still have never done the whole trip.
So leaving Calvin Creek, boom, a whale right here, right there. We saw a lot of whales during that trip. Just close to us, hey, who's those guys? Then we stop at Beano Creek just for a little snack, little lunch. And from Beano Creek, McKenna Point, very nice shoreline, a lot of rocks featured, rock gardening, beautiful shoreline all the way down to Friendly Cove.
And you can see we had really horrible conditions yet again. So in my philosophy is hug the shoreline when you can. And that's what we did.
Yeah, this is, yeah, there's not even, yeah, it was,
Yeah.
no, but it's hard to say. It's like, the Nootka Lighthouse, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to run a quote convenience store. And we know that Mark and Joanne were there, and they gave us freezies.
Yeah, she said, I don't have ice cream anymore.
Oh yeah, we wanted ice cream.
Yeah,
that's
she says, but I've got a couple of freezies for you. So yeah, we took them. It was a nice treat. You can tell all our interactions with people
for food
is always to do with food. We have our food is good, but it's always fun to get little treats on the way.
So from there, we stayed at Friendly Cove. We met some friends there, and we went for day paddles. Yeah. So we went to Escalante Point, and then we saw some beautiful little creatures.
This guy was one of the, he was not afraid. He just hung out and he posed. We got pictures of him, and like, look, just we could get super close. We don't have a fancy zoom camera, so it gives you an idea of just, he was swimming around and checking us out, and we were checking him out.
So we went to Escalante Island as well, stayed there for lunch, and then came back to Friendly Cove.
Yeah, so the people that we knew that they were going to be doing a trip. They knew we were, and we had no idea it was going to be, we would connect up, but it worked out. They had an established place at Friendly Cove camping, so we joined them and camped actually at the spot there. And then we went through
well, we visited the whole site,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, saw everything.
So that's the church that we just showed you some picture inside. Very nice. And we met Nootka.
Yeah, this little guy.
The official dog of the island, Nootka. So from there, we left a Friendly Cove and we just paddled 3 miles across to Birdwood Point. Like I said, very short days. We took our time, explored everything. And of course, a good kitchen makes the chef happy.
Yes, we had been felt like it was at a luxury camp at Friendly Cove because it was an established shelter set up and everything. And I said to Yves, I said, this is all I need. Just one long bench. I said, and there I was, happy in my happy place.
So now we're going towards Estevan Point. So along that shoreline, you go through Perez Rocks. Once again, a very nice place. Lots of sea lions.
You can hear them for miles before you get there.
And we did stop and pause at Omais Cove, just for, once again, just to check the condition. What you see in the distance here, this is Estevan Lighthouse right there.
This is where we did a weather check. I mean, from what we could see, we knew there wasn't any concerns. And just so you know what our pictures and when we're going around Estevan, this is middle of the day.
Yeah, this is not like early morning or late evening when the sea state subside. This is at like 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And middle afternoon when the wind's supposed to pick up, when the sea state's supposed to be horrible. This is, and if you've been to different lighthouses, you may have noticed they're all high up on a cliff, on a rock. Estevan is at sea level. I did not know that. It was until we paddled by that Estevan Point was at sea level. It's a big structure, big tower, built to withstand a lot of winds because it is exposed. But I had a chance prior to that trip to stop and visit it. Very nice. Once again, these little creatures, they're so beautiful.
And this trip, I think, was probably the one we got the most pictures of. Normally it would be I pull out the camera, they disappear. And we got a couple of nice shots.
So Esquillet Point, this is just before going to the hot spring. We had a really, really steep bank, so we had to, we didn't bring the kayak all the way up. We knew the tide wouldn't touch them, but they were attached. There's ropes here that goes all the way up to a post to make sure we don't lose the boat. But it was a very, very steep gravel bank to go to the campsite.
We decided not to go into Esquillet Cove this trip. We have done it in the past.
Yeah, we visited the Annie's Cougar Garden. We've done all that.
So we just decided we wouldn't on this particular trip. But if you're ever in the area, I would include that for sure.
So if you have a chance to paddle the coastline from the Hot Spring Cove going up to Esquillet, that coastline is like one of the most beautiful coastline for caves, features, rocks. it is like one after another. It's just at one point you're like, okay, another cave, you know, just beautiful. So then we made it to Hot Spring Cove, which was great. We stayed at the hot spring campsite, so you can leave your boat there. You can walk to the hot spring and come back. And the nice thing, you can go after tourist hours. So early in the morning or after 5 p.m., you have the whole hot spring for yourself. You don't have to share with 75 people in a pool as big as your living room. So which is was good.
And we knew the weather was turning. We were getting some bad weather, and so we went, oh, this is a good place to be. And you know, we had luxury outhouses and we had picnic shelters.
Yeah.
And we went, you know, it's not the best landing for the boats, but all the features, and like you said, going early and going late.
Fresh washroom, toilet paper, clean every day. It was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, but we walked. I sometimes 2-3 times a day went to the hot springs just because, and we spent three full days there because of the weather.
Big storm coming in, but we were well sheltered with a good campsite, no one around us once again, and we had the hot spring for 3 days. So we went from hot spring after that to Tofino. That was the last leg. 33 nautical mile, 5 days.
I just want to note on the screen, 33 nautical miles, 5 days. That is not a typo. That's what it did. That's what we did. We found out in Hot Spring Cove that our vehicle wasn't going to be in Tofino for a certain amount of time. And it was, well, we've got this much time.
So we were forced. It's like the first part to go to Winter Harbor because of food-wise. We were forced to 10 days. From Hot Spring to Tofino, we were forced to do 5 days.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a question Sean had. Did you have as many large animal encounters on land as at sea?
Nope.
No. We had wolves in the evening at Crabapple.
Yeah.
And when I say wolves, we saw two sets of eyes in the distance.
And a bear at Carmel Point. We had a bear in the morning in close to our campsite, but he was feeding on kelp and stuff, lifting rocks, never bothered us at all. And one beach we couldn't land because there was a bear on the beach.
We chose not to land.
We chose not to land.
And then other than that, it was just footprints.
Yeah. So that's the campsite at the Hot Spring.
Hot Springs Cove.
This is low tide. If you land there, low tide is the best. You're gonna have to lift your boat over rocks to bring it closer to the trail. At a high tide, 12-foot, 13-foot high tide, you really have to squeeze your boat on the side, but it's not the best landing. But for me, the fact that we didn't have to get back into our boats after being in the spring, just walking straight to your tent, it's worth
it was a nice
time
treat.
Spent to lift our boat and leave them there.
This was probably this is what the worst landing spot. It was worth it for the soaps in the tub.
So that's the hot springs. The boardwalk takes you to those hot springs. Then we made it to Siwash Cove, Flores Island.
Flores Island, so we've crossed over.
So every time we go there, we stop at Siwash and watch the cabin there on the point, little cabin.
This is was created by, built for an artist who passed away. This is the fellow. And each year that we've gone back there, we slowly see the cabin getting more and more going back to the land, either a door not opening or getting overgrown. But the friends of Helmer maintained the cabin for quite some time, but it's getting more and more back to nature taking over.
So that's the view from the cabin towards.
Look at that sea state. This is on Flores on the outside.
Okay. Well, look at that sea states. Ready?
So yeah, this is
going to Cow. This is Cow Bay leaving the cabin, going to Cow Bay. That's the sea states we have.
We hadn't looked at these pictures for a while. We were looking at them last night, and I was wowing over them, and I went, well, this is kind of cool to wow over your own pictures. So I think we have got a project over Christmas. We'll go through a few more of our old trips.
So Siwash Cove is at the end of Cow Bay here, and then this is the whole Cow Bay. You can paddle towards where the campsites are in Cow Bay. And this is the sunset we have. It's just beautiful. We had a very nice evening. This is not Photoshop. This is not adding colors. This is what the camera captured.
But he added a model.
Yeah. Yeah, so footprint, wolves. They're big wolves.
We have had an encounter with a wolf there. Not an encounter, but not on that trip. Now, this was our worst equipment failure.
Yep, and it was my mattress.
Of course.
So if you buy an X-Bed, don't buy it. The baffle just breaks, and I had to sleep on a big balloon for the next 7 days. Not fun, but you know, that's the way it is. It cannot be fixed. The seams here just pop, and the mattress become just a big balloon. So
the good thing was we had sand at least.
Yeah, we're mostly on sandy beach, so it's I could have put no air in it and used it as a ground sheet. So that's going from Cow Bay to Whaler Island in Kayak Sound. Very nice little island in the middle of the sound. And like I said, because Patty's brother was the one bringing the car from Tofino, from Port Hardy to Tofino. And that's where we found out the car wouldn't be there. So we had to spend a lot of time around whalers. So what we did day paddles going around Bartlett Islands, London, just paddle around the area. We think we stayed 3 nights at
2 or 3 nights
at the island. So we just went around,
played.
I thought that would hold me, but it did not. So
this is an area, again, one of our favorite, we would call backyard areas. Vargas, Flores, for, you know, you can do as short of 3-day trip or make it a week or 10 days. I actually even took my sister to this area, a prairie girl with her prairie friends, to experience the West Coast a few years ago.
Yeah. And she's actually listening right now. Hi, Leanne. So this is going towards Fingers and Ahus Bay, going around the headland. So we're supposed to go to Tofino that day.
No, we're going to go to
Medallion. Medallion's just before Tofino. So we stopped at Fingers for lunch, and then the fog came in, like big time. Like we couldn't see after that picture. There was no way you could get. So we were forced actually about 9 nautical miles from our destination.
We couldn't have gone home if we wanted to that day.
We could have not gone home that day.
And it was funny because we didn't unpack. We waited, we just kind of hung out, we waited, it was about 4 o'clock, and we finally said, okay, that's it, let's unpack, we're here for the day, we're here for the night now. And then we explored the outer part of the island when you walk through the trail, and it's really beautiful. And I don't think we had ever taken that time to do it, because usually we're en route to somewhere. So it was a pleasant surprise.
Well, this is Medallion Beach. There is a tumble there when the sea state goes up, when the tide, when the tide raises, there's some place to play. So we went through that. And then finally we made it to Tofino, thumbs up. It was great. The car was not there yet.
Yeah, not there yet.
Not there yet, but we had to wait. And this is the spot. This is what I used to let Randy, Patty's brother, to know where we're at. He could follow us on our trip and then start planning bringing the car to Tofino and pick us up. And this is the end of the trip, right at the put it in Tofino. So that's all, folks. So if you have any question, please shoot. There you go. We're back.
So go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question. I think there were 1 or 2 that I didn't catch up to on the chat.
Yeah, Yves, I was wondering if they warranted your X-Pad, because I've had one baffle go about 2 feet, and because it was a Canadian model, X-Pad wouldn't warranty it.
Yeah, Robinson Sport was very nice. We had a full credit for the value of the X-Pad.
Yeah.
So we did buy other stuff, but the thing is,
X-Pad wouldn't, but
X-Pad wouldn't.
the store did.
But what it's like anything. I got a marine radio that died when I was in the Queen Charlotte Island. People say, "Oh, you have it under warranty," but I need it there. Doesn't matter if it's warranty or not. I don't have a radio. I don't have a mattress.
No, equipment failure sucks.
I know. It was like, ugh. But it took some negotiation and time for X-Pad and with Robinson. that was very, very good about it to finally get the full credit of it. Yeah.
And how old was it? Just curious.
Oh, brand new.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's, yeah.
We bought
it
them
from the
for
trip.
this trip, and it was like, yeah, I was just couldn't believe it. I
Yeah.
still have mine, but I don't use it.
Yeah, Patti has one, but we don't bring it anymore.
It's for sale. Interested?
Anyone who has an
How much?
Not brand new, not broken, it's for sale. Cheap, cheap, cheap.
All right.
And it's the one without the pump. You have to push with your hands and take.
That's the one I got. Yeah.
So Karen just said that she's planning this trip for this summer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
So Karen, take as much time as you can. Don't rush it. Things happen when people need to rush out. So.
Oh, what was the question? How many? 4 to 5 weeks. Awesome. That's great.
Nice.
Yeah, we're planning for as much time as possible. So this is good. And we might end up bugging you for more questions logistically. But my last question there too is just like, how many liters of water did you find that you needed to carry, or how many days worth?
Okay.
We err on the side of caution with water, and pretty much we carry
2 10-liter each. 2 10-liter, the dromedary bag, the black bag, we carry 2 10s, which is 20 each, plus our water bottle.
And yeah, use a couple of thermoses. So it works out to be about 45 liters when we're full. And then we always never go down more, like we always make sure we have 1 full 10-liter. So like if we don't want to make our trip to have to go find water, we make, oh, there's water on the way, let's stop and get it.
The journey is not to find water. We don't want to paddle to find water. So we have enough to do 4 or 5 days, and then we're down to 10 liters. Then we start now looking for water to refill and go back to 35, 40 liter.
But we'll fill up wherever we, if we happen to land at a place and it's like, oh, we got room in our thing on our bottles, let's fill them. So.
Hi, this is Fred. Can I jump in about the water?
Yeah.
If people that are planning trips want to check out the BC Marine Trails map on their website, you'll see when you pop up, the little pop-up window will come when you put your cursor on different sites, and it'll tell you whether there's water there or not, and it'll tell you whether it's seasonal or year-round water.
Yeah, the thing is, I do agree. It's like John Kamata's campsite. He said there's one, but there's nothing. So yeah, thank you, Alan. So we did that coast many times, and there wasn't water where there used to be water. So it's a great resources to have that, and it's awesome. But sometimes there's places we couldn't land for the water if the sea stage is too rough, you know. So basically, don't run out of water. Joanne, you're asking what mattress we use. We're back to Thermarest. That's what I use right now. You can fix it. We can patch it if it breaks. It's easy to use. So I'm a big believer of Thermarest mattresses now. Again.
So what was it? Is Jenny here? What was the mystery of no people along the Nuka Trail?
Oh, boom, boom.
Good question. So it wasn't until we got to Friendly Cove,
yeah.
And we went in, and there had been, first it had been reported as a cougar attack on a young boy. And then it turned into
a wolf encounter.
It was a wolf encounter with a boy, but because of the stories and how it went, they closed the entire Nuka Trail for
a week, I think.
At least, the time we were doing it. So, it was like,
man.
Yeah, talk about we
did talk to the woman at the Friendly Cove, and she said there was nothing anything bad, but BC Park went crazy and they just closed the whole thing.
Yeah. But we do have some horseshoes, and I like the horses that we have the shoes from.
Do you take the horseshoes with you?
Of course.
And one more question from Jenny.
Yes.
Can you just talk briefly about skeg versus a rudder boat on the Wild West Coast?
It's paddler's preference. It's Mac versus PC, right? It's GM versus Chevrolet.
No.
But what I'm saying is, okay, there's one section on that coast from Raft Cove to Grand Bay, you have a side wind, you have side sea states, and this is the only place where I curse my boat. I wish I'd had a rudder versus paddling on one side with the rudder fully down, with the skeg fully down, and not being able to control my boat with 2+ meter swell. Other than that, what I like about the skeg, it slicks, it keeps your boat clean. There's nothing to break, like it's not cabled, you know. Rudder allows you to put more stuff in your boat because you don't have a hole in your boat with a rudder. With a skeg, you do have a hole in your boat that can create leaks. But even though at 95%, I love my skeg boat, there's always that day where I swear I want to have a rudder boat.
Every trip he says, my next boat's going to have a rudder. Every trip he says that, but so far.
But I have a good boat and it's not ready to be changed other than if I got it stolen, breaking or whatever. So
your friend Michelle has told stories on YouTube. And he when he's gone on trips with you, he's used a rudder boat. I'm just commenting. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, but it's all,
it depends.
It's all how you behave. We never launch forward with our skeg boat. We launch backwards, so it's not getting. You have to take care of it. You have to be careful, absolutely. But you know, it's. I think one is not better than the other. One is different, and it's going to be people's preference.
I just see too many people on with their day boats having major trouble with their skegs.
Because if you launch,
well,
so yeah, depends.
That's another discussion.
Yeah, that's. I have a question about your food. Yep. I heard you guys give this talk back at Sport Check some years ago.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And at that time, I hadn't visited all these.
We lost you.
Sign language?
Yeah. I was touching my keypad. There's just the one section down to Heskrit that I haven't actually done now. And when it came to your, but I always admired how you had one bag per day, you know, because up till this time, I've done like a bag for breakfast and a bag for lunch and a bag for suppers. But I'm wondering, everything obviously was dehydrated. So did you have hot lunches all the time, or did you mix it up a bit?
Usually every day we paddled, we had a hot lunch. So the biggest negative or disadvantage of having a bag per day is sometimes we didn't eat all of the meals, like when we had a down day and we slept in or didn't eat till later, then we might have had an extra breakfast, or sometimes we might go, oh, I don't feel like that thermos lunch today. It's, you know, so thanks to John M. John Mankley, thermos lunches is what we've incorporated, and we always have a hot lunch, and it's in, you know, a small little pouch.
So what Patti does in the morning, she does breakfast, and then she put the dehydrated food in the hot thermos that throughout the paddle get ready for lunch to be eaten, right?
Yeah, so I've adopted that from John as well.
Yeah. He's my idol for food.
Yeah.
There are a couple of questions on the chat. I don't know if you've had a look. One is, what piece of gear did you bring that you wish you didn't? And the other one is 2 or 3 things, key things in setting up a campsite.
Okay, what we brought that we wish we didn't?
Nothing. Basically for us.
No, I'm just kidding.
For us, if it doesn't fit in the boat, it doesn't come. So we don't have bags attached out of our boat. We don't use what I call the Christmas tree setup. Because no, for gear, we have our chair, stove, the whole thing. There's not a piece of equipment that without being minimalistic. We're not like, you know, we like our chair and our luxury, but we're very happy with what we have and what we still have.
With the emergency gear, that would be the only gear that we carry that we may not use. But other than that, we carry all our stuff. You see the hammock, we use that, the tarps we use.
I think I brought too much clothes. I could shrink my clothes bag.
You had such good weather.
Yeah, I know.
What was the other question? 3.
There was a question of what kind of filter we buy. We have a MSR gravity filter. So that's what we use to treat our water. We don't purify the water. We only filter it.
So the other question was about the campsite, 2 or 3 key things in setting up a campsite.
Setting up a campsite. That is actually, I would go from the packing the boat part, is with setting up a campsite, make sure that you can put your stuff that you need out first for your tarp and your ropes. And so you're not having to pull everything out if you got really bad weather. Key is just that. First thing goes up is the tarp. The last thing that goes down is the tarp. And we've had to, in bad weather, put our kayaks underneath the tarp. Okay, you didn't see bad weather there, but you know, we put our kayaks underneath the tarp and we've packed it. That's 2 keys. You have another key on setting up. Make sure you're above the high tide line.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Check the winds. If you're in a beach that faces the southeast, you're going to be pummeled with the wind. So try always to be on the lee side of, quote, the wind of the storm that day. I do like sand because I can dig, I can reinforce, I can use bigger posts, longer peg. For me, sand is awesome, even though sand in the tents is not good, but sand away from the wind in a little corner is nice. Basically, if your basically you want to be in a place where your tarp won't be taken by the wind. That's what it is, because as good as you may want to put it up, if there's a 40-knot wind in it, it's going to go. So always find a place sheltered from the southeast. So Geese Bay, it's not a good place.
Not for southeast.
Not for southeast. So check the weather before. We've decided to go around Cape Scott and go to Geese Bay because we knew that the next day would be light wind and we wouldn't be caught in the big wind. But we were last summer in Geese Bay and we had to build a fortress around the tent. My husband Mike is
beer supply.
We don't drink.
Well, Yves doesn't drink.
When Patti was drinking, we let the power boat give us and Sal give us beer. He always, oh, you guys must be running out of water, are you? No, we have a lot. We don't have beer. I got one here. So if you want beer, always approach a power boat.
I used to carry wine. I don't actually drink wine anymore. So.
And how about the food there? Question about, did you dehydrate everything? How long did all that take?
Oh, long. Yeah. I do mass dehydrating. So like I don't dehydrate a meal. Like I don't make a meal and dehydrate it. I dehydrate ingredients and then make up a meal. So then I can assembly line mass produce things. How long does it take? Okay. Back to, do I dehydrate everything? I've learned that you don't have to dehydrate quinoa if you're putting that in your thermos lunch. I experimented with what I could get away with having to dehydrate or not. I also picked some grains that were fairly quick for breakfast that I didn't have to dehydrate, but then the proteins, the beans and lentils and the veggies, that was all dehydrated. I would take sauces. I would sometimes one of my cheats, so to speak, are like Tasty Bites or one of those other Indian style packaged foods. I will dehydrate that. So that's my base for flavor. And then I add beans and veggies and whatever. And the other thing I do is I separate my meats. We are meatitarians. So our lunch would be a veggie, but we'd always have meat at night. But I would separate it in a different bag just in case it would go rancid. It never did, but I always just in case, and then I'd have a standalone veggie meal if something did happen to my meat. And I missed that question. How much? Oh, I guess you can click on that.
How much fresh do you eat?
Oh, next to none. Just the first couple of days. When we're going on trips like that, it's basically what was in my fridge that I need to eat or what we didn't eat in the car ride up.
So I have to say though, 28 days, fully loaded boat. I had every night chocolate covered almond come out of the boat by magic.
Yeah.
So that's, that was a good treat.
Yeah.
But the food is good. Like people think we're eating, like I said, cardboard and piece of grass. And no, our dehydrated meats are like, it's better than our food at home sometimes. So
What?
we're not sacrificing taste because of long days or a long duration of time. That's not good enough.
You should scrap it.
Any other questions? So yes, you need skills, but you need
more than that. Know when not to paddle.
You have to know when not to paddle.
Talk a bit about that. How do you make that decision?
Well, one is through experience on the West Coast.
But starting is gathering your information, basically following your weather, looking.
Weather system.
Yeah,
throughout the marine radio.
But writing it down so that you look at what's it calling for, what actually happens, and then you can say, okay, should we go or not? You take a look at where you have to land. So how far am I going, and what type of, if I don't know the area, I'm going to even be more cautious. If I have an idea of what my distances are or my potential landing, if the sea state is too big, we don't go. We err that if either one of us can make the call to veto the other. It's like, if I'm not comfortable, Yves won't, but we won't go. If Yves not comfortable, we don't go.
And a great source of information, the lighthouse keeper.
Yes. Yeah.
Use your marine radio, talk to them. Quatsino, not Quatsino, but Cape Scott, before leaving Experience and Bite, we called, hey, what's the weather around the Cape? Whoa, it's snotty today, I wouldn't go. Because where we are, we're sheltered. We don't see what's going on around the Cape. So we waited for the guy on the tower to tell us, you know, guys, you're good to go. It looks good. Go for it. Same thing in Quatsino. We were asking him, what's the winds doing now where we are? Because you have the marine weather for the big area, right? But it might not mean that locally where you are, it could be good. So we always communicate with the lighthouse keeper, and it says, we'll be your eyes for you guys. Don't be afraid to give us a call. So these are very, very valuable information that we have to use them, and they're happy to help us for that. So use your marine radio, talk to lighthouse keeper as well.
One question said, what do we use for weather? Marine radio.
Marine radio.
We didn't have an in-reach. We've never had an in-reach yet, except for unless we were with somebody who had one on a trip. But yeah, we listen to the marine weather. It's actually our evening entertainment, and look forward to, let's listen to it tonight. And the other thing is knowing what you feel comfortable in and listening to your gut. Is if in doubt, it's okay to start. If you have to, turn around and go back. And never pass up a beach. So if you see
never pass up a beach.
If you see a good beach, okay, note where that is and how far that is. If if you have got to go back to it or not. So just it's.
But the thing on the West Coast, you have to take care. There's another element which we don't have here. Is the swell height. Even though if you have a nice day, you can have big swells, and that could change a lot. So
on your landing, yeah.
So basically, because we've been to all those places many, many times before linking that trip, we felt more confidence because we knew the hazard, how bad, how good it could be, where to land, how to land, with little beach to go around. So other than if we had a 25 knot wind in our face, we wouldn't paddle, but we can go down to 2-3 meter swells and 20 knot wind in our back. We're having a blast, right? You just surf down and just go. So it all depends on your confidence, because a lot of people, they do have the skills, but they don't have the confidence. And you have to go out, you have to go play in Tofino in the surf, you have to go tickle these conditions to be able to deal with them later on and understand how it works and what's going to happen.
Play, play, and play.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to call it there. I think there may still be a few questions. People are pointing out that there's going to be a food prep course coming up in the spring, but there's lots of good questions that probably we could ask you all evening. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. That's a great presentation, and I really want to go now. I want to go right now.
Yeah,
so do I.
We all want to go. Look at the picture, and we just want it to go.
I said that to Yves last night. I said, I didn't really miss it, but now I want to go. So thank you.
Anyway, thank you for you guys,
Thank you so much. Before we leave you, we have Fred has something to say.
Thank you very much for your presentation, especially the tip about the lighthouse keeper contacting them. That's a new one for me. Certainly going to go into my bank of trips. The small present we have for you is the much sought after, very limited edition Siska drinking mug. So we'll figure out a way to get it to you guys. Plus, I'm going to throw in one of our calendars. Yay!
Yes!
So thank you very much, and back to you, Alan.
And just before we go,
thank you for the calendar.
If you talk to the lighthouse keeper, you have to. So channel 83 Alpha is Canadian Coast Guard. Wherever you are, if you want to talk to the Coast Guard, other than 16 for emergency, but it's 83 Alpha. Okay. If you want to talk to the lighthouse keeper, so the working channel for the lighthouse keeper is 82 Alpha.
Okay.
Okay. So if you call 83, the whole province will hear you. But if you call 82 Alpha, this is even for here in Trial Island. If you want to call Trial, call 82 Alpha.
Good point. Thank you. So thanks so much again, you two. Always good to hear from you. And that was a great presentation, very inspiring. And just to remind you, so Yves and Patti will be doing courses in the new year as part of our spring training. Of course, they do things right now as well. You have to talk to them right now because we're in tight restrictions, and they'll work something out that's COVID safe, of course. But they, as part of Go Kayak, one of our great resources locally, and we're so happy you're doing that. And thank you again tonight for this presentation. Terrific.
All right, well, thank you for the invitation. That was very good. Thank you, everyone. And if you have any questions, please fire them up, info@gokayak.ca.
We'll answer them.
And we'll answer them.
All right.
What else are we doing over Christmas?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you next week, perhaps at the Fun and Games night. And I hope that you are staying well, staying safe, being calm and kind and all those good things, and keep on paddling.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Alan, do you stop recording, or I do stop recording?
We can both stop recording if you want.
All right, so stop recording.